The director of the Secret Service testifies on Capitol Hill today, and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu arrives in Washington today ahead of plans for him to address Congress on Wednesday. Good morning. I'm Corva Coleman from NPR News, and here are today's top stories. Vice President Harris will hold her first event at the White House today since President Biden dropped his presidential bid and endorsed her for the Democratic presidential nomination. Harris says she'll work to earn and win the nomination. Voters in Michigan are reacting to Biden's decision to end his re-election campaign. Reporter Michelle Jokish-Polo spoke with some Michigan Democrats on whether Biden's decision is changing their vote.
21-year-old Michigan resident Jesse Estrada White will be voting for the first time in a presidential election. He says he's been calling for Biden to drop out for months.
He just doesn't have that progressive agenda that young people want, that working class people need.
Sonia Hernandez is a 52-year-old educator living in West Michigan. She says Biden made the right call and she's ready for Harris 2024.
His stepping aside showed his true patriotism and his true love for this country.
Michigan is a battleground state expected to determine the outcome of November's presidential election. In 2020, Biden won the state by less than 200,000 votes. For NPR News, I'm Michelle Jokish-Polo in East Lansing.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu arrives in Washington today and will address Congress on Wednesday. NPR's Hadil Al-Shalchi reports he's coming at a time when his relationship with President Biden has grown increasingly tense.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was invited to address Congress by Republican and Democratic congressional leaders. He'll be visiting the U.S. at a time when Israel is growing increasingly isolated internationally. Netanyahu has been criticized for his handling of the war by some Democrats, and President Biden is becoming more and more frustrated with the lack of a ceasefire deal. Several Democrats in Congress say they will skip Netanyahu's speech. Netanyahu's office said that an Israeli delegation would be heading to Qatar for ceasefire talks on Thursday, but the outcome of those negotiations is still unclear. Now that Biden has stepped out of the presidential race, all eyes will be on how Vice President Kamala Harris approaches Netanyahu's visit. Hadil Al-Shalchi, NPR News, Tel Aviv.
The director of the Secret Service is set to testify on Capitol Hill this morning. Lawmakers are demanding answers about this month's attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump at a Pennsylvania rally. NPR's Windsor Johnston has more.
The Secret Service over the weekend acknowledged that it denied some requests by Trump's election team for more security at his campaign events. The admission comes about a week after a gunman opened fire shortly after Trump took the stage that night in Pennsylvania. Lawmakers on the House Oversight Committee will likely question Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle about that and other potential security lapses at the campaign event during today's hearing.
NPR's Windsor Johnston prepared that report. You're listening to NPR News.